Panther fans, we've got our franchise quarterback. Let's not pretend like this season wasn't a roller coaster of emotions for the Carolina Panthers, because at the beginning of the year, I was saying things like we're going to be 0-17, we're going to have the first overall pick, Andy Dalton is the answer, and then we have no path for the future. However, Dave Canales turns back to Bryce Young after Andy Dalton gets in a car accident, and the guy has only gotten better and better every single game. Getting benched was the best thing to ever happen to Bryce Young. I have not seen a turnaround this fast in quite some time, because if you look at the quarterback we had during week 1 and week 2, and look at the quarterback we have now going into next year, they aren't even close to the same player. Young just finished the season on a high note, a 44-38 overtime victory over the division rival Falcons, a huge morale boost for the Panthers going into next season. Bryce Young looked like the guy that we traded up to get with the #1 overall pick in last year's draft. Young threw for 251 yards, 3 touchdown passes, while also running in 2 more touchdowns. He becomes the first Panthers quarterback since Cam Newton in 2015 to score 5 total touchdowns in a game, and the first Panthers quarterback in franchise history to throw 3 touchdown passes and have 2 rushing touchdowns in the same game. This makes 3 games straight without an interception for Bryce Young, and that is just huge, because if you remember last year and even at times this year, ball security was a huge concern. I know I've said this a lot recently, but every game he just continues to elevate. This was Bryce Young's best game as a pro. The confidence, the swagger, the leadership to push this team past a division rival, to send them to Cancun, to end the year on a high note, it was just unbelievable. The jaw-dropping play that everybody is talking about is the 4th down play action throw into the end zone, where Bryce Young literally pulled a Lamar Jackson, a Stephen Curry, whatever you want to call it, and he turned around before the ball was even caught. That's the Bryce Young I remember seeing in college at Alabama. That's the Bryce Young I remember doing a scouting report on. That's the Bryce Young that I love, and that's going to be the Bryce Young that we can expect to see for a long, long time. I said it last year when the Panthers hired Dave Canales to be their new head coach, and probably 1,000 times since. Dave Canales is a quarterback guru. He is a quarterback wizard. He knows how to develop and save a quarterback's career. Bryce Young was brought into the worst possible situation. An old school coach that didn't really connect with him in Frank Reich. A terrible offensive scheme that did not play to Bryce Young's strength. No wide receiver talent. A terrible offensive line. I mean, remember, the guy was getting sacked second most in the league. Now you look at this season. Bryce has guys to build with for the future. A great offensive line. A great scheme. Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker at wide receiver. Chuba Hubbard in the run game. And this run game has allowed Bryce Young to be able to open up and sling the ball downfield. Our offense is actually respected now. And I can't lie. Even though the Panthers went 5-12, they didn't make the playoffs, and at times this season was not fun, I'm so sad the Panthers football is over for the year. I cannot wait for next year, because I am feeling something that I haven't felt in a long, long time, which is a culture shift. Dan Morgan and Dave Canales are building something special here in Carolina. It is going to be so fun watching the offseason build and build to see Dave Canales mold Bryce Young into the franchise quarterback he wants him to be. Yes, that's right. Bryce Young is a franchise quarterback for the future. Don't believe me? Well, just ask Panthers legend Cam Newton, because he certainly thinks so. Bryce Young is officially the Carolina Reaper. Just this year, he got Dennis Allen fired in New Orleans. He got Daniel Jones cut in New York, took the Chiefs and Eagles to the wire. He ended the Cardinals' playoffs chance, and he gave Atlanta a losing season after many analysts saw them as true playoff contenders. It was awesome to see Bryce Young back in Atlanta, because the difference between his first game and then this Week 18 in Year 2 game, this was so incredible. Bryce Young is a dog, and I could not be happier for him. He has grown so much, not only as a player, but as a leader. When asked about this season and how hard it was, he said this is a team that never quits, and I cannot agree with him more. I'm expecting big things next year for this kid, and I am expecting big things for the Panthers in 2025, and until then, you best believe I'm going to be watching some Bryce Young film all offseason. BY9, I hope you enjoy Charlotte, because you're here to stay as a Carolina Panther.